I want to thank you all for having me this morning. I am a fellow Rotarian with Tacoma 8. I'm fairly new. I still have my red badge. So today's talk with you is my last requirement to earn my blue badge. So I'm very, very excited. But I grew up in Tacoma. I love this place. I went away to Michigan for about 10 years doing some corporate communications, and so it's really great to be back. So what I'm going to talk to you about a little bit today is just an overview of Better Business Bureau, our past, and some of the things that we're looking forward to the future. So let's get started. I'm just going to share first the agenda. So we're going to talk about just our mission and our history, and then we'll get into some of the services, and then BBB accreditation, community outreach. BBB accreditation is membership. It used to be called members, BBB members, and now it's accreditation, and that's what I mean by that. Our community outreach and our future, and then I want to leave a lot of time for questions. All right? Sound good? Is everybody awake? I'm a morning person, so this is a lot easier for me at night. All right, so let's get started. I always like to start with our vision. You know, we want a marketplace where buyers and sellers can trust each other. That's the foundation of BBB for over 100 years. Our mission, to be the leader in advancing marketplace trust. And we do this by creating a community of trustworthy businesses that abide by our standards, and setting standards for marketplace trust, encouraging and supporting best practices, celebrating marketplace role models, and denouncing substandard marketplace behavior. So there's our values. That's a lot to take in, but I added some of the text to each area. We have 8 of them. And this is really what we feel embodies a marketplace of trust. When businesses subscribe to these values here, these 8 values, we feel that marketplace trust can exist. I always like to talk about who we are and who we are not. I think a lot of people think of Bureau, and so they think of FBI. They think of BBB as a government extension or a part of the government. So who we are, we're a neutral, third-party, standard-based public reporting agency. Quite a lot to take in, but our job is to try to stay as neutral as possible between the consumer and the business. And we get thousands of calls annually from people that are checking on businesses, also online, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it's always tough because we'll hear somebody that's sharing a really sad story with us, and then they'll say, well, I probably should have checked with you. And then we talk to people who say, should I do business with this person? And we look at the record, and they have complaints, and there's an F rating, and our tendency as humans to say run the other direction, but we have to let that record speak for itself because those are the facts that are presented, and we can't give our opinion. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, and who we are not, we're not a for-profit organization, we're not for profit. We're not a government agency, and we're not funded by the government in any way. And we're not an enforcement agency. I think a lot of people associate Better Business Bureau that we have teeth and that we can force consumers and businesses to act in a certain way. We can't. All we're trying to do is just bring the business and the consumer together. Does that make sense? So this is a little hard to see, but I'm just going to cover our history really quick. We started in 1912, and Samuel Dobbs was really the founder of BBB. He was the president of Coca-Cola, and there were a lot of advertisements being placed in the papers by companies that we call fly-by-night companies that were, most of them were medicines, and they had drugs in them, and they were saying, you'll feel better in no time, and asthma cigarettes, believe it or not, were one of the big concerns. Yeah, because they were encouraging people to smoke these cigarettes. And I actually have a picture of it in a moment here. I'll show you. But from 1912 through 1973 was really the beginning, and we established the Council of Better Business Bureaus in 1970, I believe. Yeah, July 31st, 1970. And so we have 112 Better Business Bureaus across North America, Canada, and we're now actually working with Mexico. We may actually have a Better Business Bureau in Mexico for the first time. We have relationships with international bodies, so if there's a complaint overseas, we do have partnerships with Japan, China, and South America right now, which obviously with Mexico in place, hopefully we'll be able to serve that area better. I don't believe that we're ever going to expand beyond North America, but we have great partnerships to get us started at least. So that's a snapshot of through 1973, and then of course some endorsements from presidents about the value of Better Business Bureau over the years. And you can see that ugly monitor, and that's to illustrate also that at that time, 1994, that's what those monitors looked like. It's hard to believe that today, thinking 20 years later. But we entered the internet and started talking about web privacy, and then we have other divisions of BBB, advertising regulation for children, of course, which is a big one, the Children's Food and Beverage Advertising group, and that's part of BBB. They're like subsidiaries, and they act independently with their boards, but they're part of BBB and our brand. So in 2004, we started Military Line, which is a great program to help our military veterans and active military. It's grown quite a bit. We help JBLM as much as possible for those troops that are coming back from combat to re-enter society here, and they're often the target of scams. Really bad scams, unfortunately. And the people that are scamming our military are very sophisticated with what they say. And so we're trying to educate them on scams and financial readiness so that they have the tools that they need to watch their finances, because obviously that's top of mind right now with the Target issue that we have with the credit card scandal. You all have heard about that. But this is really, there are a lot of scams that are really targeting our military. So a lot of projects that we do, we try to fund our foundation that supports the Military Line. And this is a nationwide program. And then we came out with our app. I would not download that app, actually, to be honest with you. We're in the middle of remodeling it. We have a brand new website, and I'll show you a picture of that in just a moment. But we're really at a point now, after 100 years, of looking at how do we stay relevant after 100 years. Because we have great legacy, great brand recognition, but we have our challenges just like every other business, and I'll get into that in a minute. So our history, quite a huge list here. BBB of Tacoma was, so there were 148 BBBs, and BBB of Tacoma was the smallest BBB, actually, in the country at that time. And then over the years, that started in 1918, and then 1950, Seattle was founded, and then 1994, Seattle and Tacoma merged together. And then later, we became the BBB of Western Washington and Oregon, and we merged with Oregon. And then, now we're the BBB of Western Washington, Oregon, because we merged with Alaska. So now we have one of the largest territories of BBB, so we have a lot of audiences to serve, a lot of marketplaces to serve. So it's quite an undertaking. We have about 75 employees. Our headquarters is in DuPont, just off the road. If you've seen our building, a little BBB logo on the side of the building, see nodding heads, okay. So as you're heading towards Olympia, it's on the right side, JBLM's on the left. And we have an office in Lake Oswego, and then we also have an office in Anchorage, Alaska. So now we're the BBB serving Alaska, Oregon, and Western Washington. So we can kind of flip that. This is just a screenshot. So we are at a soft launch of a brand new website, and you can see it's well, if you've seen the last website, this is a huge improvement. It was very, very tough to get around on the website to get to the information that people needed. So now we have a sophisticated search. You can search almost anything in the search bar, and we're working through that right now. We just launched in February. We've kept it pretty quiet because we're kind of working through our issues. And so hopefully by the end of April, all BBBs will be under the same website program that we have right now, and CMS. So I'm just going to talk about our services and statistics. This is, well, actually this is a little easier than I thought it would be to read. So on the left side is our national impact. We have 100 million unique visitors to our website every year, and that's bbb.org nationwide. And we're in the top 350 web domains, and that's per Alexa. We have 400,000 accredited businesses nationwide. And then on the right side, you'll see the impact we have at a local level for Alaska, Oregon, and Western Washington. We have 9,300 accredited businesses, and we had about 3 million unique visitors to our website last year, giving a lot of business reviews to consumers and businesses that were looking for other businesses to do business with. So I thought I would pull some local data for Pierce County, just so that you could get a feel of what we're doing at a local level. But I'll start with overall, we had over 4 million business reviews that were provided. And we've seen double-digit growth with this over the last 3 to 4 years, as more people are checking out businesses before they do business, which is a great thing. So our complaint volume actually has dropped about 6 or 7%. So that's a good thing for us. We want people to check out businesses before they do business. And we want businesses to check out other businesses before they do business. Pierce County, right now in our database, we have about 32,000 business records. And we have we processed about 6,900 complaints in the last 36 months. Last year, we processed about 32,000 complaints for our entire area in 1 year. So it gives you a little bit of a scale. We had 327,000 inquiries in just the last 12 months in Pierce County from consumers that were checking out businesses. I'm going to take a drink of water, excuse me.
Is that just on your website, or is that in person, or how does it?
So the question was, is it just on our website? And it's a combination of our website and the calls that we get. Yes?
Is that a little disproportionate, 6,900 complaints out of 3,700 complaints in 3 areas?
6,900 is over 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So small businesses, 92% of our businesses are small businesses. They have 15 and under employees, about $1 million and under in revenue. And our top 5 industries by inquiries for Pierce County: contractors, auto repair, plumbing, construction, remodeling, and jewelers. And we have 816 accredited businesses in Pierce County. Any questions so far? Please.
When you say processing complaints, can you explain it?
Sure. So when a consumer or business files a complaint, we get it in and we review it. We work with the business immediately. We send it to the business. The business has 10 days to respond. And then once that response is given, then the consumer can respond, and it goes back and forth until it's resolved. Our goal is to open complaints inside 2 days. That's a BBB standard across the country. And we try to close all our complaints in under 30 days. But it's up to the business and the consumer to resolve the dispute. And all we're doing is we're just opening the line of communication.
Do you take complaints for non-members as well as
Yes,
members?
We do. Yeah, we do for all. Yeah.
How does the membership work?
Sure, and I'll get into BBB accreditation in just a minute. Yeah. So some of the consumer services that we have, business reviews. We also do charity reviews. We have our partnership with the Wise Giving Alliance, which is a nationwide organization that's part of BBB. And we do rate charities. We do, it's a little bit of a different rating system. It's based off of 20 factors. And we work with those charities to check their financial reporting, all of their requirements, of course, to make sure that their administration costs aren't the total of what they're receiving in donations, things like that, so that we know that when people are contributing to that charity, they know that a lot of it's going to the cause and not to administration, is one example. Complaint handling, as I said before, dispute resolutions. We also offer mediation and arbitration, where we have an attorney come in, and this keeps a lot of cases out of small claims court. So the business owner and the consumer can actually meet at the table. We have an attorney that will act as judge and hear both sides and render an opinion, which will hold up in court. And that is free for accredited businesses and only about, I think, $200 for non-accredited businesses. So it's relatively inexpensive compared to hiring a lawyer, going through the local courts. And the local courts appreciate it because obviously they're busy as it is, and we're able to alleviate a little bit of that. We have a foundation, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Business services, we have our code of advertising practices and our standards of trust, and we also have accreditation program and charity seal program. And then we also have investigations. So we have a staff that looks at all of our advertising review, and they check out local advertisements for accredited businesses and non-accredited businesses, and just look for areas where we might be able to improve to establish marketplace trust, which is really what we're all about. So people always like to know, so what are your top inquiries and who are the top complainants? And so I'm going to start with our inquiries. This slide right here represents our top 20 inquiries. So these are consumers that are coming to our website or calling us and asking about these industries or companies within these industries. So games and supplies is actually, it's Xbox, it's all the some video games, things like that. But we include it under the category of games and supplies. So and that can be video game accessories, things like that. Believe it or not, we get a lot of inquiries on that. So that's inquiries. Then we have our top 20 complaints. This is, and we have some major cellular phone companies in our area that we work with. And I will tell you that even with the volume of complaints, they actually are trying to work with us. And one in particular has reduced their complaint volume significantly in the last year and is working towards accreditation, actually. So they're still a couple years out because of past practices, but we always try to open the door and communicate with businesses to help them achieve their success. That's what we're all about. And with these organizations, a lot of them we're working with, we extend the olive branch to try to work with them to resolve it, and we try to do the very best we can to communicate back to the consumer or the business what's happening. So that's the top 20 complaints. I'm going to talk about BBB accreditation. I just thought I'd give you a snapshot. At a national level, we have a lot of businesses, major brands that have supported BBB over the years. Some for very long. Wells Fargo there at the bottom has been with us for almost our entire history, believe it or not. So the lower level is our national partners at the local level. Just some brands to. And Amazon.com just built a distribution center just in DuPont, really close to where we're at. So we're getting ready to give them a gift basket, welcome them to the neighborhood. So the question, back to your question, Grayson, about BBB accreditation. This is really the qualifications. It's very straightforward. BBB standards of trust, and those were the 8 values that we talked about early on. So we do check for licensing, updated information about the business. We make sure that we have everything that that is publicly reported through all of the reporting agencies like SOS and L&I. The business must have a B rating, honest and ethical, of course, and dedicated, responsive to customers. So we want to work with them to resolve complaints if they're not qualifying, and if they are, the requirement for BBB accreditation is that they do respond to all complaints. And then remain free of any unresolved or unanswered complaints. So reputation, we've done some surveys in the last few years, and the 98% name recognition is something that we don't take for granted, because the reality for us is that we're not connecting with the younger audience right now. Survey results show that ages 40 and higher had very high brand recognition of BBB. They knew who we were. They've worked with us in the past. But when you look at 18 to 24-year-old population, we have a lot of work to do. And there are a lot of companies out there right now that are startups that are entering into trust. There's a lot of companies like Angie's List and Yelp, they're both accredited businesses that are doing great things at a local level to give businesses reviews and allow consumer interaction and engagement. And that is connecting with our younger population of 18 to 24-year-olds. So we have our challenge to try to make BBB relevant for the younger audience. And so I'm going to get into it in a moment, but one of the things we really have to focus on is innovation. And so BBB, even though we're 100 years old, we cannot be stuck on embracing our past. We have to look at what do we need to do to move forward in the future. Am I okay with time? Okay. Just some things that we do for promoting accreditation. So for our accredited businesses, you can see there's a seal there. And when you take your mouse and you put it over the BBB accredited business there, that logo, it flips and it shows the user how long that, as of that date, the date that they choose to check that business out, it will give them their a click through to go to the business review, and then they can review the business. We now publish complaints online. We publish about 30% of all complaints that we receive online. So we did about 32,000 last year, and about 10,000 of those have been posted online. And it's just for more transparency, so consumers and businesses can see how businesses are responding to complaints before they do business. Those are some of the other things that we do to support our accredited businesses. Additional benefits of accreditation, we have other programs because in addition to the values that I talked about at the beginning, we also know that small businesses have been struggling, and we as BBB have to help as well. And a lot of the businesses ask us, what are you doing to help our business grow and help us achieve our goals? So we're developing programs, and we do have some out now, like a $100 referral for accredited businesses that refer other businesses is an example of that. On the technology side, you see SEO value. We work really, really hard with our technology partners to help our small businesses so that when consumers do searches on Google, for example, that businesses that are accredited do come up within the first page of their website search. We have our Torch Awards where we recognize our Business of the Year. We've just finished the judging for that, and we'll be announcing our winners. We have one for Western Washington, one for Alaska, and one for Oregon this year. And we want to expand that into different business categories, because right now we're lumping everybody together, and we want to enhance this program and really make it much more special than it's been in the past. So things are moving. Our community outreach, just to touch on it, well, I'll go back. The Torch Report there on the right side, the Torch Report is brand new. We now send out an e-newsletter to all of our consumers about scams and other alerts or other things that are happening right now in the marketplace. We send out press releases on scams sometimes twice a week, and we have a great relationship with all of the Attorney General's office, and especially in Washington here, we have a very, very close relationship with them. So as soon as the landslide happened, we contacted them and started working on a press release that we put out this week about watching for charities, because unfortunately there are people that don't care, and they scam people that have good intentions to give money to something as tragic as that. And so we work really hard with the AG's office because they have teeth, we don't, but we want a strong partnership so that we can help it, let the public know about things that are happening like this. I talked about Torch Awards, foundations. We have a Students of Integrity Scholarship that we do. We have a very strong program with DECA in Washington State, and we've expanded that. We're looking at establishing one in Alaska because one doesn't really exist, but in Oregon we have the same program. And so we provide a scholarship to students that apply, and we have a contest for them, and it's usually an essay about ethics, which is something which is a memory they can take with them when they get into the business world. They can remember that and hopefully be good business people. They are our future. I want to just talk about our foundation. RBBB does have a foundation, and we have been building it over the years to support programs like our military line that I spoke about earlier. our charity review program, Secure Your ID Days. We have one coming up April 26th. It's at the Tacoma Dome. And we'll have shredders out there, so if you have your financial documents that you've been wanting to get rid of, please bring them out. It's free. And we'll also have some other programs with other agencies that we're working with to protect children's ID. We're going to be collecting cell phones for military so that they can use cell phones overseas. And also we have a domestic violence program for women to receive a cell phone if they need to be able to communicate privately and discreetly without being tracked. We also have senior solutions programs. We're working with a lot of our senior partners to expand our senior outreach. We need to do a better job of educating our seniors because unfortunately 1 out of 46 scams is detected for our seniors. And that's really sad because and they're getting more sophisticated. You've heard the stories about the grandmother that's called and they think it's one of their grandchildren that's asking for money and they fall into that trap. I'll tell you, they're so good at it. We hear this every day and it breaks our staff's heart when they have to tell them that the reality of the situation because we hear it so often. We know all the signs. Catfishing, which is online dating scams. That also hits the senior population really hard because a lot of our senior population that doesn't use the internet as much, and our scammers are very sophisticated. They know how to get in and establish a relationship, and they track people who are lonely. And if they express that they're lonely, they know they got them. And believe it or not, a lot of them are out of Nigeria, and we're doing everything we can to try to fight them with the government agencies, but all we can try to do is educate our senior public on this. So you're going to see more from BBB over the next few years. We're going to do a scam jam next year, and we're going to try to bring as many seniors as we can to one location. We're going to try it in Western Washington, and we're going to work with AARP and some of our other partners to really make this great. They did one, AARP just did one 2 weeks ago that was very successful, and we helped sponsor that. And now we want to see if we can make this even bigger. And if it works here, we're going to put it in Oregon, same event, and then we're going to try it in Anchorage, Alaska. Military, like I talked about a little bit, we try to do as much as we possibly can, not only with our active, but our retired military. Secure ID Day, I talked about that Saturday, April 26th. Just some pictures. Oh, yeah, that's me in the middle there, helping somebody dump their private documents. There's some people that won't even let us touch their documents, and they want to see it shredded before they leave. And I understand that. If we step out of the way, it's all for your benefit. So, and we do that in all of our locations. That's a nationwide program. So we send out a press release that after this is over, and millions of pounds shredded, and it's great. People are able to do that for free. So I asked, how does BBB stay relevant? I just want to share with you maybe some inside information as some of the things that we're working on. We have launched customer reviews. We're late. We're 5 years late pretty much. I mean, there's so many vehicles out there right now that you can go to read customer reviews, right? TripAdvisor, Yelp. What we're trying to do is we're trying to start a new program where we try to verify that marketplace interaction exists between the consumer and the business. And I don't know if you are aware of the article that came out in the New York Times in September last year. About 30% of reviews online are false, or they're falsified by the businesses writing their own reviews about how great they are. So what we're trying to do now is so when a consumer posts a customer review, and we're one of the test BBB, so you can go out and you'll see it as a tab there on a business review. You'll say write a review. You write a review, it doesn't post immediately online like it does with other review sites. It actually goes to the business owner. The business owner actually has 3 steps there, or 3 responses. One is ignore, one is reply, and they actually can respond to the review, or they click on this is not my customer. And if it's not my customer, it goes back to the consumer, and we will require the consumer to prove that marketplace interaction took place. So we're hoping that by using the word verified in there, that we're trying to verify reviews to reduce that issue that we see with customer reviews. So now, not in addition to complete detail, we actually have customer reviews, and we're going to be ramping that up over time. And that's for all businesses, by the way. New website, I talked about that. This month we just launched our new website. If you refresh it, you can see different pictures of all the areas that we serve. And our staff actually found the pictures, and we bought them. They're fantastic. You saw the one with the orca. We have one with a moose that takes up the whole suite. It's fantastic. Better look and feel. But we're trying to deliver a better customer experience. Business intelligence reporting. You know, a lot of businesses want to know how much traffic does a BBB present to my industry? How many hits do I receive to my business review? So we're going to track that more carefully, and for our accredited businesses, we're going to be sending them a business intelligence report that they'll receive that will track all of that. And then we have a request a quote program. So anybody on our website now can go and they can, as a consumer, request a quote. They type in what service they want, and they can select the businesses that they want to get a quote from, and those businesses can respond and earn that business. We're going to be revising that and making a much more accountable system to both our consumers and businesses that participate in the program. So more real time. So if somebody has a pipe that's leaking and they need an emergency service, they can tap our plumbers, and we're going to try to make it a real-time vehicle so they can be contacted immediately, and those that want those referrals can receive those referrals in a quick turnaround. And then API technology is a technology where two websites can share data securely with each other. So our hope is that we can strike partnerships with other organizations to have the BBB logo presented next to businesses that are accredited with us, but also business reviews without leaving the website page of the organization that they're visiting. And that's technology that we're all paying for right now to rebuild our data warehouse so that we can move quicker to get this technology online. And that will be coming out early 2015. We'll have a new consumer application that will be much more engaging, so they'll be able to do customer reviews, they'll be able to check complaint detail. It'll be much more engaging and easier for our consumers to use. And strategic partnerships. BBB, we're not for profit, so we really can't do a lot of these things on our own. We have to partner with organizations, and there are a lot of startups. I just visited a startup in Seattle yesterday with 120 employees, and it's going to the moon, and they're doing a lot of things to engage consumers online. They had 75 programmers sitting out there programming. I mean, we have one. And I think as a not-for-profit, we don't have that kind of engine to be able to deliver the experience that a lot of these other organizations are. So we're going to be looking at strategic partnerships to help us get our brand awareness out there and enhance BBB's brand into the future. Because if we don't do this, we're not going to be around for much longer. We won't make it through our next 100 years. And so we're taking it very seriously, and we're trying the best we can to stay relevant into the future. So with that, I always like to share our social media page, BBB News for You. So if you want to visit us on Facebook, Twitter, Google, Pinterest, we have a lot of other accounts as well. But we try to interact with our businesses, and we try to stimulate dialogue with consumers about issues. We post all our scam alerts, all of the information that we present to the public. We try to get out through our social media vehicles. And now, questions. So I covered a lot. I really appreciate everybody's time. So
We're probably out of time for questions, but can you stay?
yes, absolutely.
You want to go?
Do you have a quick question?